In this video, we'll explore some of Hermann Hesse's most famous and meaningful quotes that will help us better understand his thoughts and reflect on our existence. The only way to deal with fear is to face it head on. I have been and still am a seeker, but I have ceased to question stars and books. I have begun to listen to the teachings my blood whispers to me. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go. For me, trees have always been the most penetrating creatures. I revere them when they live in tribes and families, in forests and groves, and even more, I revere them when they stand alone. If you hate a person, you hate something in him that is part of yourself. What isn't part of ourselves doesn't disturb us. I have always believed, and I still believe, that whatever good or bad fortune may come our way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value. One never reaches home, but wherever friendly paths intersect, the whole world looks like home for a time. If you want to learn about the sea, first become a river. If you want to learn about the divine, first become a person completely human. Everything becomes a little different as soon as it is spoken out loud. Man is not by any means of fixed and enduring form. He is much more an experiment and a transition. I live in my dreams. Other people live in dreams, but not in their own. That's the difference. The truth is lived, not taught. If you find someone who makes you smile, who checks up on you often to see if you're okay, who watches out for you and wants the very best for you, don't let them go. Keep them close and don't take them for granted. People like that are hard to find. 1 hour of life, crowded to the full with glorious action and filled with noble risks, is worth whole years of those mean observances of paltry decorum. Each man had only one genuine vocation, to find the way to himself. He might end up as a poet or madman, as a murderer or a prophet, or as an ascetic or a man of science. But the way to himself was always difficult and lonely, and the only thing that could be done along the way was to make things easy for the spirits. We are sun and moon, dear friend. We are sea and land. It is not our purpose to become each other. It is to recognize each other, to learn to see the other and honor him for what he is, each the other's opposite and complement. I have always been a seeker and still am, but I stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teachings of my soul. I cannot tell you any spiritual truth that deep within you don't know already. All I can do is remind you of what you have forgotten. To hold our tongues when everyone is gossiping, to smile without hostility at people and institutions, to compensate for the shortage of love in the world with more love in small, private matters, to be more faithful in our work, to show greater patience, to forego the cheap revenge obtainable from mockery and criticism. All these are things we can do. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. We are not going in circles. We are going upwards. The path is a spiral. We have already climbed many steps. In each individual, the spirit is made flesh. In each one, the whole of creation suffers. In each one, a savior is crucified. I have always been unsatisfied with life as most people live it. Always I want to live more intensely and richly. The world, however, is not a factory for the production of finished products, but a battlefield for the struggle toward higher development. All the knowledge I possess, everyone else can acquire, but my heart is all my own. You are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts. Every age, every culture, every custom and tradition has its own character, its own weakness and its own strength, its beauties and ugliness. Accepts certain sufferings as matters of course, puts up patiently with certain evils. Human life is reduced to real suffering, to hell, only when two ages, two cultures, and religions overlap. Words do not express thoughts very well. They always become a little different immediately after they are expressed, a little distorted, a little foolish. It is not our purpose to become each other. It is to recognize, to learn to see the other, and honor him for what he is. Every person's life is a journey, and that journey can be an adventure if we choose to make it one. The more one loves, the more one suffers. The heart is like a garden that can only be cultivated by tears. We must become so alone, so utterly alone, that we withdraw into our innermost self, It is a way of bitter suffering. But then our solitude is overcome. We are no longer alone, for we find that our innermost self is the Spirit, that it is God, the indivisible. And suddenly we find ourselves in the midst of the world, yet undisturbed by its multiplicity. It is not for me to judge another man's life. I must judge. I must choose. I must spurn, purely for myself alone. The world is full of people who are different, but who can live together in harmony if they only try. Our mind is capable of passing beyond the dividing line we have drawn for it, beyond the pairs of opposites of which the world consists. Other, new insights begin. A man's life is interesting primarily when he has failed, I well know, for it's a sign that he tried to surpass himself. The only reality is the Spirit, and in this sense, the world is spiritual. It is not the purpose of concepts to explain things, but to give expression to experiences. We are all mere bundles of habits. Thank you for watching the video on Hermann Hesse quotes. I hope you found inspiration in the words of this great writer, who has left a lasting imprint on literature and culture. His quotes offer us valuable lessons about life, self-searching, and inner growth. Whether you are a fan of literature or simply looking for inspiration, I hope this video has offered you moments of reflection and contemplation. Thanks again for following along, and stay with us for more interesting content.